Our second panelist will be Joe Swedberg. Joe is retired from Hormel just a couple of years ago after 34 years with the company. At Hormel, he served as Vice President of Legislative Affairs and oversaw all state and federal legislative affairs, regulatory affairs, and packaging. Today, he serves as the lead for Hormel, for the Hormel company, on both its work on antimicrobial use in food-producing animals, as well as its SPAMI project, which you will hear more about from Joe. Joe also happens to serve as the chairman of the Farm Foundation.
Thanks, Constance. I'm going to follow up from a little different perspective on what Karen's great lead-in for me, but I'm going to talk from a corporate perspective. I spent 34 years with Hormel Foods based in Austin, Minnesota. That's where the definition of still and clear means the snow's still coming down. It's clear up to your, you can imagine what that is. But anyhow, the corporation actually has their annual meeting today. It's 126 years old this year. And that's a sustainability model in itself. It's one of the original Fortune 500 companies, still intact in 1955 when they came up with the Fortune 500 companies. Hormel's just a handful left that are still as the company was. So I want to take it from the company perspective. I'm going to hit on some topics and highlights around sustainability, corporate responsibility, and hopefully that'll tee up some questions later on. So, you know, the company does an annual report on corporate responsibility, sustainability. Obviously, our industry is a lot around protein. We also own Jennie-O Turkey Store. We're one of the largest turkey processors in the U.S. and also have an international market. But we look at this from the products, the environment, animal welfare, people, and then the communities we serve in, because we serve in a lot of smaller communities across the country and globally. From an animal welfare and sustainability perspective, we conduct audits across all of the species that we deal with. And the audits are done annually for primarily in the hog sector and turkey. We also give out what's known as Spirit of Excellence Awards. We highlight our top producers and our top suppliers within that to recognize the contributions they're making following specific guidelines and rules. We participate in the G4 guidelines, which I think is important. That's the global reporting initiatives. From the hog sector, the pork industry has been quite progressive along with the dairy industry. There's a program called PQA Plus and TQA Plus. The PQA Plus is the pork quality audit. That was developed a number of years ago. One of our folks from Hormel actually wrote a lot of that. And those are specific audits that we require all of our producers that supply livestock to our company to go through this audit annually. All their employees have to be trained. It's really a 360 around animal care and welfare. It includes antibiotic use, includes animal husbandry. The TQA Plus is the trucker quality, and they all have to be trained. So nobody can deliver any livestock to our facilities without being trained through that. And I think that's an important aspect. And it's really become, now it used to be more of a self-audit. Now they're looking at third-party audits to help with this process to be more transparent in that. We do site assessments, animal facilities and the caretakers. The records are overviewed. And so this is all a very important part of this. Let me talk a little bit about our customers. I look at customers. I grew up in the sales and marketing side, was vice president of marketing for Refrigerated for a number of years. And many of our direct customers are the retailers and the food service operators across the U.S. and globally. These folks, I can guarantee you today, are looking for new ways to engage and better ways to understand what's going on in the animal sector. Their customers are asking these questions. So they turn to us for those type of answers. And I think that's very important in the sense that they're looking for answers and they expect us to be able to help provide some of those answers. Then I look at the direct consumers or the customers that we have. We do a lot of research, as many companies do. But I think we've realized today our consumers want to have a conversation with us. They don't want to be talked to. They want to have a conversation. They want us to know that they have interests, they have things on their mind, and don't dismiss them. Don't talk to them, but talk with them. And we're finding that more and more revealing, and we're finding it more and more helpful as a company to help us guide our policies moving forward. So I think it's a two-way street in being engaged. I look at our company from a global malnutrition aspect. We have developed a project several years ago. We've always engaged in the market to help in hunger relief when there's a catastrophe, but we wanted to be proactive. We've created an actual product out of turkey. On a turkey carcass, you may not know this, but if you carve at Thanksgiving, you know all the little white and dark meat on that turkey carcass. On a 40-pound tom bird, there's about 4 pounds of that you can leave on a bird. And we just take that off. We are actually taking it and adding fortification to it, micronutrients, and actually canning it, making it shelf stable. We've been in Guatemala now for 10 years. We're feeding 30,000 children, 8,300 families. It mixes in with what their diet is, so you don't have to change their diet. You're giving them a product with dignity. It's an animal-based protein, it's high value, et cetera. I can talk more about that later. And finally, I'm going to talk just a second about partnerships. I think partnerships are absolutely critical when you're talking about these issues. I think the good example of the forum that we just heard about, but I'll give you an example. The Farm Foundation, and I'm chairing this part of it, is working with Pew Charitable Trust. Karen Holzer's here with Pew. We brought together all the livestock groups over the past year, and we have developed a stewardship definition. We are close to having that finalized with Karen's help. We're also putting together a group of guiding principles around antibiotic use in livestock. And that's a big deal, to bring all the livestock groups together with Pew. McDonald's is in the room. We have Walmart in the room, all the major processors. And this is a big, big deal. And we're going to be meeting next Monday again to plan our next step with this project. But I give you as an example is many cases we have challenges and we fight across aisles. The ag is not unlike any other industry. That many times we have our own intramural battles, but we have more in common than we do not in common. And I think that's critical. So I think that's a good example of the partnership. So thank you.